This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to PTBN's NBA Team Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Andrew Riche. Oh wait, co-host Adam Murray. What is that I see in the horizon? Are those are tanks? It's March. It's kind of early for tank season, isn't it? I know, but it's kind of early, is it not? It usually comes in late March during the tournament, not in the beginning of March.
We had, the Washington Wizards start off like day one.
Washington sucks, period. Like, they could roll out their starting roster and we won't know the difference. But when I'm seeing AJ Lawson and Jeff Doughton and people like that getting 30 minutes, I mean, the writing's on the wall.
So in that sense, is Shaq right? Who cares? Like, it's talking about Detroit. It's like, yeah, Detroit doesn't have a chance. Yeah, we know that. But you have between teams who are blatantly tanking, not even
Pelicans did it. They were playing so well with Zion Williamson and Kelly Olynyk that they shut them both down, and they put in Mo Bamba, who's only taken 3 shots since he got here.
But you have the teams who are just not trying, like Utah and Washington and Charlotte and Brooklyn. When Cam Thomas went down, that was sort of the end of his season.
Yeah, he had a hamstring thing going on.
And Toronto, who was just injured on day one and just not good on day two. And then you have franchises who we all bought into. We thought, Phoenix and Dallas and Philadelphia and even like Miami, could they pull it together? They all turned to complete duds.
Even I have to add to this crop San Antonio, because once they got Fox, you're thinking, all right, we got a 2-man crew. Then Wembanyama goes down with the blood clots, and De'Aaron Fox gets the funniest injury I've ever heard. I need surgery on my pinky finger. Let me be real. I know the opposable thumb is what separates us from the apes. I think the pinky finger is not necessary.
But there's no
could you live your life without your pinky fingers?
Most likely, but I'd rather not. But in the grand scheme of things, okay, he's having hand surgery. Well, we could just shut him down. There's no point of even trying with. But yeah, is this season just a complete lost cause with a hype of even Minnesota, like Dallas, Minnesota, Phoenix? Yes, we have Cleveland, but nobody really cares about Cleveland. Oklahoma City, nobody really cares about Oklahoma City. Outside of the shocking Luka trade, this season has just been just a big wet bag.
Yeah, I feel I've enjoyed the season on a day-to-day basis. I feel like the last 2 weeks there have been some great individual performance, albeit some of them are, for teams that are not trying to roll out their best lineups. Like I made that prediction, remember, to start the season. I think we're going to see a 35 or 32 rebound game. We got close. Walker Kessler got 25 rebounds and 8 blocks in a game for the tanking Jazz. But then, it's sad to watch, the Jimmy Butler trade that got put together because he tanked his stock. He goes to Golden State. Golden State's immediately better. And the Heat, I believe, have lost 7 in a row. They are just going down the toilet. The Mavericks went down the toilet mainly because of the injuries, but, the Lakers, I know they're on a losing streak right now, but the reason why is because LeBron went out with a groin injury and Luka can't do it by himself. So they'll probably bounce back in it. The one thing I will say that's been interesting in terms of the regular season is that in the Eastern Conference race, it's been pretty static in terms of the seedings. I could probably tell you the seeds right now for the playoffs, and then we get back to the end of the season and they're the same. Whereas with the West, between 2 and I think 5, it's very, very close, and the Warriors are starting to creep back into it.
Everybody's close in the West. The East, we already know. You have Chicago would like to tank out of the playoffs. However, you have
Toronto's out tanking. Yeah.
Toronto, Philly, and Brooklyn are all like, no, you're not. You're not. You can't be this bad. And it's sort of a shame when you have 6 teams who are just trying to out bad each other.
I think the Suns. I'll disagree with one thing you said when you talked about the team's tank. I think the Suns are going to try to make one more go of it simply because of the Mavericks issues. The Mavericks have so many injuries that you might need to explain this to me because I don't know the rules about the 2 ways once you get to the end of the season how many you have left to give out. But I'm sure they can get a hardship waiver, but there's word that they have so many injuries that they might run out of 2 ways so that they might have to forfeit games because they can't dress enough guys on the roster for their games.
The NBA would not.
I don't think they're going to let that happen because
they're not going to be like, we're canceling the game, because that's just bad for the league.
Right.
Like,
right.
Yes, they have no money. They're a couple games away from their 2 ways doing it, but you can either be potentially fined for having an injured player in the starting lineup and lying on your injury sheet, or just if they're not going to forfeit games because
But do you think the Suns can try to manage and they're about 2 games away?
The Suns are a game and a half behind, which I believe they were 3 or 4 before the Kyrie injury happened. Yeah, they should come in and.
It'll be the last time we see Durant, Beal, and Booker together, for better or for worse. Durant's leaving. It's obvious. And Booker, I did like this. I don't know who phrased this quote. It was probably Shams from the agent, but it said that Booker and the Suns have publicly committed to one another. I didn't know that the NBA is The Bachelor. You have to publicly commit to one another.
Basically, say I'm in. Yes, I'm also in. Not the the season Durant. I'm in Phoenix. Let's see what we could get for you. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with them saying, okay.
It's also the weekly holder stuff. Yeah.
My client and my client will still be the face of the franchise because there's nothing. I'll be the one standing. Okay, we can get stuff for Durant. We can rebuild around me. However, does that mean Budenholzer will stay? I don't know. He hasn't made really any friends.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And he was supposed to be the answer to everything. And
they're showing a little spice. I've seen Mason Plumlee get into 2 fights. They're starting to show some fight. I like it.
And now, the word is everybody's sick of the owner, and the owner's style of going all in isn't really resonating anymore. So it's a sad mess for them, which was supposed to be.
The Stars did a line on ABC for a primetime game between the Lakers and the Celtics. The Celtics won easily, but LeBron kind of bowed out in the second half with a groin injury because they knew. I think he did it because he knew they weren't going to win the game. So they're like, I'll just take time off. But then LeBron's gone. Now, we always talk about how LeBron likes to take his time off so he can condition himself for the playoffs, but doing it in March is interesting. I don't think he's ever taken time off in the month of March.
Well, he took time off before the All-Star break, and he took the All-Star break off. And
age gets the best of all of us, okay? I get it.
Don't forget, he also played the Olympics, so having 2 rest periods is not
also an incredible milestone. He got 40,000 points. Only player, obviously, because he's the all-time leader scorer. He's the only player to do it. Or 50,000, I'm sorry. And then Curry got the 4,003. That team's hot. The one thing that worries me about the Warriors, despite the winning streak they're on, which is 8 games at this point as we're talking, is that Butler, even though he fits well with the rotation, and Draymond, he's not shooting the ball well. So I don't know that might come back to get him in the playoffs. If it's okay, Jimmy, we need you to make shots down the stretch, and he just goes clank, clank, clank.
I thought you were gonna say Kuminga's coming back.
He is back, but Kerr hates him. We know this. This is not a well.
I meant Kuminga's coming back, and then the whole team who spent their time, let's try to build, quickly reform around.
My theory is that Kerr hates Kuminga and doesn't want him in the lineup. And when he got hurt, he was happy as hell. And that now that he's back, he's just going to put him on the bench and barely play him. That's my theory. Paulo Banchero is playing great. I know that Orlando is barely hanging on in the play-in scenario, but he's trying his best now that he's healthy again. Peyton Pritchard and Derek White combined for freaking 19 threes between two guys.
We've had so many conversations just about how the Celtics, all they do is shoot threes, and
they do it well.
When they do it well, like Oklahoma City beat them. Yeah, Oklahoma City also shot got the record for most threes in a quarter or a half or something. And
yeah,
the Celtics shot like 60 threes. So it's just going down and just chucking the ball up is not. Maybe again, it's just I've said it, like this season, just not a fun season.
I mean, I love this. The Boston fan whose team is probably gonna be on pace to win another title. It's not been a fun season. It's like, oh, you want to be?
But no. Being a basketball fan and having to watch other teams, like I watch the Celtics, but I catch them at a later time. I'm not watching them live at in the evening. I'm catching other games, and just when you go like, I don't want to sit and watch highlights of them shooting.
And I understand that. And here's the thing, like the variety of the great games that we have been a little lucky lately. Like Jordan Poole on a terrible Wizards team, he hit a game winner against of all teams, the Nuggets. I don't know how that happened. The Nuggets were drinking something that night. In overtime, we had Mikal Bridges hit a buzzer beater against the Blazers. Karis LeVert gets a steal and a layup to finish it against the Grizzlies. So we've had some crazy finishes and some great individual performances. But I agree, Adam. Like what happens is once we get to this portion of the season, which is the last quarter of the season or even less than that, the variety of the interest in the teams that are playing, the competitiveness, it's more than cut in half. So instead of like, say you have a 10-game slate, or even a 9-game slate, there's a really good chance, Adam, that only 4 or 5 of those 9 games are going to be competitive, because there's 4 or 5 of the other ones probably involve teams that don't want to win. And you get lucky sometimes. Sometimes you'll put out this happened with the Raptors 2 games in a row where they put out a tank lineup with AJ's Lawson and Jamison Battle and people like that, and they actually played their ass off.
Haven't had anyone all season.
Yeah, but they played their ass off.
You spend all this money on all these guys, and we will get into this on our next week's episode with the NCAA draft prospects. But it's hard to watch. I don't want to see end of bench and two-way players coming in.
It's becoming top heavy in terms of the schedule. Like the one good thing is that it seems like when I look at the schedule, every night there's at least one good game. Like I see Nuggets Warriors, Bucks Lakers, Bucks Warriors, Nuggets Rockets. The Rockets are red hot. They've won 6 games in a row. So they're back to we thought they were sliding to the 5, Adam. They're at the 2 right now.
They are coming back, but this is the official now jockeying point of the season, and everybody's
where's your temperature on the MVP race?
Can we just have a tie?
Jokic
Can we just give it to both of them?
Jokic is the PER leader by a full point. And I know that PER isn't the end all be all, but it's a really good indicator. SGA
is also shooting 23s a game, and Jokic is still having a crazy stat. Like, can we just say it's a tie and just give it to them both and not have to deal with it? And
I'm trying to remember the ties in history. I mean, the one I remember the most was the Rookie of the Year in 2000 when I was in college. It was Elton Brand and it was the Rockets guard. What was his name?
Steve Francis.
Yes, it was a tie, and I think Grant Hill and Jason Kidd were a tie back in the 90s. But an MVP, I don't think we've ever had.
Yeah, it'll take the numbers to the votes to come in, but it's just like it's those two and only those two. Every other clutch player.
Giannis is playing great. Giannis is playing fantastic. He'll be a good third place guy.
There is no third place guy. It's just those two, and that's about it. Everybody, you missed the 65 games. You're out. You're out. And
they even played each other on back-to-backs, and it went exactly the way you're saying. Like SGA looked great in the first one, and Jokic dominated in the second one. So I mean, so what was proven when they matched up against each other? the same thing we thought going into it. It's a 2-horse race and no one is pulling away.
It's a 2-horse race and they don't play against each other. They're not matching up against each other. They're two different. Like it's, it is what it is. Just like, but like I said, the defensive player of the year should be Triple J, Jaren Jackson, but he's not.
I thought Lugens Dort had a shot, but he just got an injury, so I don't know how long he's going to sit time. Dyson Daniel has an outside chance. But like I said, outside
the rookie of the year is just the worst race of all time.
It's Castle.
No, probably Jalen Wells.
Oh, no. I think Stephon Castle's winning.
Castle, he's been playing the first half of the season. He was playing 15 minutes off the bench. Like because he's had a good month doesn't mean maybe this year rookie there. I mean,
have that in their back pocket of, hey, we had back-to-back rookies of the year, so we had we're the team of the future kind of thing going forward.
It's just a hard no sell on this season of just trying.
Let me just do this for you. I know I'm kind of throwing you off on this one. I'm gonna give you the next 5 games for Cleveland. Tell me if they're gonna lose one, okay? Orlando, at Clippers, at Kings, at Suns. That's 3 road games in a row, or 4 at Utah.
Yeah, they're gonna lose one because it's the West Coast trip. And
how many have they won in a row? 16.
This is their second streak of 15 in a row. Of course, they're gonna probably lose one on the West Coast trip and rest somebody. And
I think they're gonna end up. Are they going to end up 60s? Here I know this is just Andrew Riche math, okay, which is not safe. But I always felt like when you get to 66 wins or above, that's when you're like, holy shit, this is a great team. So 67 is possible. You think they'll drop less than 5 games down the stretch?
Depends on when they feel. I mean, once they wrap up.
There'll be a big time planking team. They're going to not play anybody. The thing, Adam, is that they have games where they can DNP Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. And what'll happen is they bring in DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome. And they just shoot the fucking lights out,
That can, but again, when you're resting lots of guys and you're sitting all 5 of your starters, they should be dropping a few games.
Mm-hmm. They're clearly in the catbird seat. Are they? The Thunder are still there. As great as the Cavs have been, the Thunder have been equally great. They've been in SGA. I know. We hemmed and hawed about the MVP race and how we feel like they're trying to push for. Not push for SGA. I think what it is that they don't. I think it's voter fatigue. I think people just don't want to vote for Jokic year after year, even though it's probably the conventional wisdom pick. But for the Thunder, the SGA has had, I think, at least 7 games where he's had 45 points or more in the last 2 months. That's impressive.
It is the West, so we shouldn't even talk about them till the final week because.
Well, I can tell you one thing: the Thunder are going to be the 1 seed. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but everyone else, it's a 3-way tie for 2, and. Coming to the last week, it'll be a big jockeying of who doesn't want to be 4th.
Why are the Wolves getting better?
Because DiVincenzo's back.
And the defense is picking up again? Maybe is DiVincenzo a good defensive player? I'm starting to wonder if he is.
No, but it was a late trade, so it took a while for them to get everything into place. Then Randall, maybe he was injured, maybe he sucked a little bit. Very slow to learning to play with each other. And
now he's playing well.
DiVincenzo gets hurt. And then, then you have to get Terrence Shannon and Ron Holland in for extended stretches. Now they're all back to healthy, and I'm Dillingham. Sorry, Holland's in Detroit. Getting those guys in. Now they're back to a rotation. They're slowly figuring out. They should have been, but there's no way they should have been 7th to begin with this far down. But
I think the Clippers are together. I think the Clippers are safe. I hate to say this, but they're safely in the play-in. I think they're stuck there, but they're going to get their shot, and they're going to get their opportunity.
There's nothing wrong with that, considering everybody expected them to be.
Looks re-enlivened. I don't know if he got plasma surgery. I don't know what happened, but he had a game winner against, I think, the Kings. He's playing well, and Harden's playing well. Powell being out has hurt them. A lot.
They were supposed to be the odd man out of you got rid of George, your team, you had to blow up your team for cap money space. But then you have Sacramento, who was just the Sacramento Bulls, who were just dead in the water. You have Dallas, who was injured, and you have Phoenix, who completely imploded.
Adam, I
And
saw a game where DeMar DeRozan had 23 points, 0 rebounds, 1 assist. I'm starting to think that's the dude who got Mike Brown fired. Because the moment Brownie got fired and they put in Doug Christie, all of a sudden he's getting all the shots.
we knew DeRozan, like, how is he going to fit on that team? And then you just have this weird lineup, and then you have Sabonis being a 5. Like, it didn't. We
You
were
know what?
like,
You know who DeMar DeRozan reminds me of? He reminds me of the running back way back for the Jets, Curtis Martin, where he had like 1,000-yard rushing like 10 years in a row, and you're like, okay, when's this guy going to slow down? And then suddenly he was just no good anymore, and he was cutting, never played again. And I feel like that's going to happen to DeRozan in Sacramento, where it's like, man, this guy's still averaging 24 and 4. Like, how's he doing this? And then the next year he just falls off a cliff, and the contract is toxic. I just got to feel.
He's only a $25 million contract, so his money, I believe, wasn't it 3 for 75?
It was 3 for 75, 3 for 80, somewhere like that.
Yeah, so his contract isn't completely killer. And then
I think what's helped DeRozan in his career is that he just hasn't had a major injury throughout his career. Like a major.
Also with DeRozan, yeah, it's time to become a 6-man, and the problem is Sacramento completely hemorrhaged their team to create this monster lineup, and there's really no one off the bench.
Keon Ellis is playing more, but that's it.
He's the one, like, that's it. And Drew Carter had his shoulder surgery.
Sabonis looks uninspired. He does. Like, he just doesn't have. Maybe him and Fox just had a good rapport. I don't know.
Well, that was Fox, the reports were Fox, or I believe he said, was like, yeah, you fired Mike Brown. Okay, I'm done. I don't want to be part of this franchise anymore.
I think Fox kind of trapped them there. I think he pushed for it, and then he used it as an excuse to get out of it. It's like the guy in the hot dog suit saying, we need to find a guy.
That's the logical answer. You're trying to put the logical answer of what seems to be the case with the dysfunction of the Sacramento Kings, and who do stuff like that. I don't think you're using enough. I'm going to fight, like, nobody. And then Sabonis is like, yeah, this is, I'm the ceiling is so low right now, and what am I doing here? I can see that for.
And then the crossroads we're reaching at this point, which we always do at the back half of the back fourth of the regular season, because they have to get ready for the playoffs in the way it's going to get called, is the officiating. And what happens is the messages get mixed, because the league, I know there's no like memo that goes out there, but I think the league does, or the commissioner does, put some say so with the referees and their union of saying, hey guys, it's going to get nastier. It's going to get more physical. The playoffs are coming. Don't call ticky-tack fouls. Don't do this. And then what will happen is you'll have a really nasty brawl, and then they say, okay, we got to call fouls on everything. But here's the problem, Adam. I feel like the messages get mixed up, because we have these games where they just let things go, like in the Thunder Detroit game, where Cade Cunningham felt like he wasn't getting any calls. He gets ejected in the third quarter, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just parades to the line. And then you'll have these games where Cunningham and also Trae Young, they get 20 free throws. 20 free throw attempts for one player is asinine in any game. I don't care how aggressive you are. No one is aggressive enough to get 20 free throw attempts a game unless you're being purposely hacked by the opposing team. So we're getting to that point where I think what's going to happen is some report's going to come out where the NBA is telling the referees, hey guys, you got to let things go. Things are going to get chippy. You can't just call a million fouls.
It's been a couple months now. I really needed creating this segment, the Andrew Riche conspiracy theory of the week. Because this is just another week of episode of you with your tinfoil hat with stuff.
So you don't think there's any credence to the fact that the officiating has been very uneven over the last couple of weeks?
Try seasons. Try every year the NBA put out a memo saying stop calling things or start calling things more. And the refs who are assigned to the playoffs are assigned for the league. The league does not want to spend all postseason going how bad your refs are, like the NFL of look at how your ref blew this, look how your ref blew this, and you just have everything you turn on about how the NFL's refs are terrible, and the NFL going, our refs are fine, and it's just like, well, no, the NBA is like, yeah, we know we have unevens, so they always seem to be like we're looking.
The thing with the NFL is that they know even if the officiating is shitty and the game is bad, people are still going to watch it. Whereas in the NBA, it's not a guarantee that everyone's going to tune in to watch your game.
But just and this was the Andrew Riche conspiracy theory corner. Ooh.
It's not that spooky. I mean, the truth is with the officiating, I think what it is some of the crews that probably will likely not be in the playoff rotation, they're starting to get fed up and they're just throwing fouls at everything, or throwing whistles at everything. And I understand why coaches will criticize the refs, and they do that knowing they do that when they say to the owner, "Hey, can I say this?" And the owner will say, "Yeah, that's cool," and he will just light up the officiating and get like a very heavy fine. I think the problem is that there's a fight on all fronts because the commissioner is also trying to fight the tanking problem. They fined the Jazz $100,000 for sitting Lauri Markkanen. Like.
Well, the Jazz are really just kind of a how not to rebuild.
Yeah.
But
if they get a number 1 pick and they get the right pick, it was worth it at the end. That's the thing. That's all. It's all about getting that bite at the apple. That's really what it's always about.
But having one good number 1 pick and putting nothing around them is kind of just a waste of a number 1 pick.
I think Danny Ainge has beaten Will Hardy in the submission. I think Will Hardy was actually coaching his ass off for a little while there, and now Ainge is
that happened every season. This season they were just completely dead because Cody Williams didn't really show up. Keontae George, who was supposed to be the bright spot, completely regressed. Like he is just like not just the sixth man.
He's great at getting to the free throw line, but nothing else.
Back of the bench, you have the roster construction of Walker Kessler, and then we got Filipowski and John Collins, and then
Taylor Hendricks ranking broke his leg. Yeah,
you have just a horrible roster construction, and just like it has not been as smooth for
the Blazers. Is hard to say because I see the makings of a good team down the road. Also, I have to pat myself on the back on this one. The Wizards did give up too early on Denny Avdia because now he looks great.
Yeah, but that's what tanking teams do. Is he's not gonna? We never said he wasn't good. He was
all
just
that
sort
criticism of. Threw at Utah, I throw the same criticism at Washington. I really do.
Well, Washington's also just started the tank, and then you have Adija, who we mentioned in every post and pre-mortem. He's good at everything, but not great at anything. And, he was sort of just a nice glue guy.
Yeah, but lately I've seen this. The last few weeks I've seen this guy. I think he's averaging like 20 and 10.
And it took Portland many months to figure him out because he was getting DNPs in 5 minutes and he's starting getting 30 minutes. They didn't know what to do with him until everything sort of fell into place. But here you have this guy who's not fitting your lineup, and you have who is it? Bilal Kalabi, who's sort of the same guy, but just a little smaller. And then you got Kispert in there.
And they just shut him down with an injury.
You can't have all these guys who are doing the same. And he's sitting behind Kuzma and Poole. Like, we got too many. We're not going to wait. We're not going to compete for 3 years guaranteed. So why do we need this guy who's not going to fit this timeline? So let's trade him for a pick this year, which was the Bub Carrington pick, who they like, who's getting minutes. So
and Kaishan George. Yeah, he's working out well for them at the end.
Anything else this episode?
the only thing that I found interesting over the last couple weeks, just crazy, incredible endings and end of game stuff. What you think of the Tyrese Halliburton 3, the 4-point play? I call it the Larry Johnson because that's what Larry Johnson did to the Pacers way back in the day. Like, did Giannis blow it trying to foul him?
No.
I mean, I think he was just trying to close out. Really, is what it was, and he just hit him. And Halliburton can do that. Great players can do that. They can hit crazy threes on a runner, But just crazy finishes, and also how the East standings to me is just gonna stand pat. And in the West, it's just a little funky. Like, I don't know where after the 2 spot people are gonna go. I don't know. The Lakers might wind up in the play-in somehow. I don't know. Like, they look red hot, and then LeBron gets hurt, and they're sliding again. I think the Warrior come down is coming. I don't know when, but I think it's going to come before the season ends.
We will check back with the last 3 games because that's the only 3 games that apparently matter in the West this season.
And it's that weird period too where they do get the ABC time slot on primetime on Saturdays and Sundays, but you do take a backseat to the NCAA tournament. Now, granted, this is the last year that NBA is with Turner, so the Turner handoff where they have all of their crew do the NCAA tournament, this is probably the last time. So I don't know how the NBA is going to approach the schedule for their games and their broadcasting during the NCAA tournament. I don't think it's going to change that much because they know they're going to get killed in the ratings because everybody watched the NCAA tournament for betting. But it is that my whole point of this, Adam, is that it's that time of the year always where the NBA games are in the back burner and the college basketball is at the forefront. It's that one time in the year.
So obviously, with that said, you are doing your yearly sabbatical where you
but we have the extra. But we also have some takeaways we could talk about with related college players for those that are down the road.
We will be back in April-ish for the closeout of the season. So, any quick NCAA predictions? Who's going to win it all? Since UConn's not gonna. Florida.
And I like Iowa State too.
Florida and Iowa State, and a very exciting.
And just like Zion, everybody is obsessed with one Duke guy and the one injury that he got at the very end of the year.
All right. So for Andrew Riche, I'm Adam Murray. Have a good one.
Take care, y'all.